Today in our city, we have 150,000 people in our city. On any given school day, like today, we have 60,000 students in our city. That's roughly 41% of our city's population. And on any given fiscal year between Cal State, Chabot, the school district, and Alameda County Office of Education, that's a $457 million general fund budget that swirls around in our city. If you throw in the city's 123, 124 million, give or take a few, that's a $500 million that's generated in our city directly related to an education economy in one way, shape, or form. We're a city of students, we're a city of families, and we're a city of young people. I want to make Hayward into an education city. I can't imagine a family not moving into the city of Hayward knowing that they can educate their family from preschool to grad school. I can't imagine a company not wanting to come to our city if they didn't know that they can hire every May and June hundreds, if not thousands, of students graduate each year, ready to walk into their company from entry level.
What are your top issues?
So I want to make
in a quick nutshell.
So I want to turn Hayward into an education city. I want to create jobs. I want to hire our students right out of high school and college. I want to strengthen our neighborhoods with home ownership. I want to make sure that our kids, our students who walk out of our academic institutions work, contribute to our economy, contribute to our city, and can raise a family just like every generation before us.
I want to make sure that as a city, we are doing what we should be doing for the people who live here and pay the taxes that support our city government. Our primary number one job of any city government is public safety, obviously, and you can see from our budget that a good part of ours is devoted to public safety. But of course, we provide more services. We provide development services. We provide library services. I think that the key issue for a mayor is to make sure that the city is being well run. And for that, you have to have good management. And I believe that I bring experience that will enable, that has already actually served Hayward well, and that will enable me to be a good mayor, to make sure that the city staff is responsive to our citizens and is doing what they should be doing. Now, that really covers everything we should be doing, but my key issues have been and will continue to be responding to our various neighborhoods and other constituencies, the business community. I have been especially vocal on making sure that we develop ways that we can better serve our neighborhoods. And to do that, you really have to know what they want. You have to be out there. You have to be meeting with people. You have to be observant. I come from, in addition to my management background in insurance, a journalism background in my young career, and that's that serves me well in talking with people and getting information. Certainly boosting our economic base is vital. And to do that, we have to make sure that we're serving the businesses that are already here very well. And finally, I do care a lot about the young people in our city. As Mark has talked about, there are a number of students and children, and I'd like to see us become a place that is more friendly and provides a better environment for them to grow up in a variety of ways.
Francisco.
Everybody in the city wants a safe, clean, and green city, but nobody really does anything about the economy, and that's what I'm trying to do for what I have been doing for quite a few number of years. My main priorities are economy, education, and public safety. So we have 190 police officers, and we need to take that up.
Economy, education, and public safety.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I've been working on, founding the Latino Business Roundtable, going around and talking to small businesses, what are your needs? And I'm not going to do anything new. I'm simply going to continue doing what I've been doing for so many years. Feeding the poor, covering up the homeless, continuing with the Hayward Youth Commission and the youth, Youngster of the Month, etc. I have a greater Hayward Democratic Club young or youth summer project that's very important, because when we don't do anything for the youth, we don't do enough. We let them flounder, and then sometimes they may find themselves and they may not. So that's something I've been doing as an educator at Chabot College, providing scholarships for my students. Very, very important. So health also, St. Rose is extremely important for South Hayward community. Nobody really cares about South Hayward community. We care about mainly downtown, but we have a rectangle of retail that nobody does anything with. Mission, Tennyson, Hesperian A, and then the Foothill handle. And that's something that we need to keep working on. And that's what I've been doing for 35 years and will continue to do so.
Rakesh?
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for this giving me opportunity. My goal, number one, deficit. Number two, balance the budget.
I'm sorry, is what?
Deficit.
Deficit?
Yes, because Hayward is a deficit. Balance the budget, and also stronger economy. We have the education, and as per news says, our unified school district got the international recognition. So Hayward is education big time. But the student need help, like I did in India. That's why the poor kids get the admission as a become doctor or engineer also. And that's my recognition in India also. I fight for that human rights in India. And that the same thing I will do for our kids over here. So they get the equal opportunity, so they can stand up. They need to be speak out, they need to stand up, what is their problem, and what is going on surrounding their area. And public safety, I'm concerned. Public safety concern is that one, is not the public safety like putting more police officer on the street. That's not the public safety. Our citizen suffering in all manners, in all parts, because our government is completely dysfunctional, everything mismanagement over there.
The economy, you said, is dysfunctional?
Government is dysfunctional.
Government is dysfunctional, right.
It's completely dysfunctional. When you need them, they're not going to help them. And that's the one I'm running. And my priority, same priority for the state too also. That's why I decided one is a governor too also. That's about it.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about it. So why are you running for 2 different seats?
Pardon?
Why are you running for 2 different seats?
I need to reach the goal.
What
How
goal?
much I got the experience, what I experienced here and what I heard from the people, and I did it, those things. Like in 2010, I the one first go against the modification things in the code. Is a record in America. That's why millions of people got the benefit of the modification.
Yeah, I mean, you realize though, by running for 2 different seats, it's really hard to take you seriously.
My goal is that, like, if I could succeed as a mayor and if I could succeed as a governor, of course I will choose the governor, and the follow runner-up will be take it, and I will do voluntary service for the city of Hayward and bring city of Hayward great one again, because we are already great. We got recognition too.
Okay, so let's start, and let's start with you, Rakesh. Give me your assessment of the city budget.
City budget assessment, I don't know, but how much they have it, I don't read the documents, particular these box are inside, so then they have there's number. I don't have a number for that one. But only I will do how to improve the financial security and stability in the city.
Okay.
Like bring new business.
Okay, you don't know the budget then. You don't have a.
Yeah, I don't know what is
Okay,
their
Francisco,
things.
give me your assessment, if
Well,
you would, of the
we
city
have revenues
finance.
of around $128 million. Something like 30% is through property taxes, 20% is something like with sales taxes. I really would like to have that sales tax revenue increase, even pass over the property taxes. And of course, we have problems.
Don't work from notes, please.
No.
Okay.
This is a list of all of our things that we need to do for our retirees, and we have quite a bit of hole in the future as far as unfunded liabilities. So we have a budget, but we need to be careful with the budget as far as its future. We need to push for becoming a more of a friendly towards business city. We need to convince folks that they need to shop Hayward first. We need to talk with our folks over in Sacramento that they don't balance their budgets on our backs, and that's really something that's very unfortunate. So those are 3 things that we can do. And of course, attracting other businesses so that we can all improve our budget. But at the moment, we're having a difficult time, as you know, from SEIU.
Well, I guess if you were to compare the city budget to your home budget, what we're doing is we're meeting our annual requirements pretty much. We're balancing it on a year-by-year basis in the sense of we really have planned to use some reserves, but have not dipped too deeply into our reserve fund, which has remained fairly healthy through the recession, through all the last several years that we've been struggling. What we're not doing is paying toward those unfunded liabilities that are continuing to amount and get bigger. And so it's kind of like, using all your maximum credit and borrowing on your house and letting your mortgage increase and your credit card funds increase while you're meeting your payments. And we need to change that. And we've been working on it by of course, the biggest element of our budget is employee costs, employee compensation, including the future liabilities that we have really not done a good job of funding. And therefore, we have developed a plan that isn't going to get us completely there, but is going to help a lot. And we have asked all of our employees to take basically 17% cut in compensation. That's done in different ways. Mostly, a big part of that is getting the employees to try to start contributing more to the cost of the benefits. Most of the rest of the world is now contributing to their current medical benefits. Our employees have just been doing that in the last few years as we've been trying to promote the 17% reduction. And as you know, 2 of our bargaining groups remain not in that fold. Actually, that's not true. SEIU is now in that fold because we took that major step of imposing a contract. They were not wanting to do that. And I will say that the council has led the way on all of this by taking these cuts, and actually more. I was looking back, my own paycheck from 2009 to 2014 has been reduced close to $300 a month because of, and I'm not saying that we should even get all these benefits, that I didn't set them up a long time ago, but our salary is probably right. It's actually gone below the $25,000 that was approved 11 years ago or 12 years ago prior to my getting on the council. And we're now contributing our full share, not full share, but we're contributing 20% to our medical and 50% to dental and vision. And there was a deferred compensation benefit of about 3.5%, I think, when I first came on the council. That it has been gone since 2009. So I believe we led the way. It is absolutely not true, as you may have read or seen on a billboard somewhere, that we have given ourselves a raise. So anyway, we are struggling with balancing this, and we are developing plans now to start paying down some of that unfunded liability, which is at last count about $390 million, adjusted in benefit liability, and that doesn't include infrastructure.
Right. Mark?
Well, when I came onto the council, I probably got on at perhaps the worst time ever. The economy was imploding all around us, and of course the state was taking back redevelopment dollars, and cities. Hayward found itself in a very peculiar situation where we needed to focus on core services. Crime and safety, maintenance, and streets. Anytime you're in a situation like that, cities have to couch themselves in where we're responsible for delivering. I think our budget situation. So we've done that. I think over the last 4 years, I think we've done that. We've done that very successfully.
You've done what?
Held on to staffing. I think, and we've even increased staffing with police from 183 to about 193 today. We've become clean fanatics around town. Rebecca can attest to that. We've still been able to have mural programs and so forth that people, and I think generally there's an overall sense of people.
So my question was, give me your assessment.
So the budget. So anyways, the budget, I think we focused on core services and we've been able to do that. Second is the labor. We would not be where we're at today if it wasn't for our labor groups. Fire, police, these guys have stepped up. Management has stepped up. The appointments have stepped up. They've all met our 17% budget goal or give back goal, and you know,
All
right?
of
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Management, right? The council, the appointed, and all of the and all of our executive team. They've all haven't.
Okay,
They,
but not all of your labor.
oh no, not all the labor have given
I'm
up.
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I misunderstood what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah, and so so I think, you know, we're in the we are where we are at today because I think our as an organization, people have stepped up and people have you know, have contributed. Now I know we still have some groups out there that need to contribute to our and get us closer to the goal. And I think that's the challenge today. I mean, your presentation today at the Rotary clearly outlined that, and you know, that seems to be the big challenge today. We do not have the economy that we've had a generation ago. We're unable to sustain salaries and pensions like we had a generation ago, and so we need to not only meet our existing obligations, but we need to meet those obligations that we're in the middle of right now. And then we need to also meet the obligations of the people who are coming in, and then at the same time balance delivering core services. So I think that's where.
I'm going to take you all back. You three were there. Was it about a month or two ago when you finally imposed? Starting with you, Mark, any misgivings?
Actually, I think what I did was good. I think what I did was for the benefit of our city. I think what I did was for the benefit of our city in the long term. It was perhaps one of the most difficult decisions I've made. You know, I made the decision in this environment of I had announced that I was running for mayor, and I, you know, I knew I was going to get kicked in the teeth for it, but I felt that it was the right thing to do. We have held to our 17% goal, and our
So no regrets?
no regrets. No.
Barbara, any regrets?
What we did was the right thing for the city, and I'm really proud to have been a part of a council that stood up unanimously to the kind of pressure that labor can put on you, especially in the middle of a campaign season. I think it's pretty remarkable that we did that as a council, and I think it makes a great statement. No, I have no regrets about doing it. I have some concerns maybe about the process that led to it, and whether I mean, it's not something you want to do, and certainly labor unrest is not something you want in your city. It's going to have an impact on services, and it's something that whichever of us gets elected, we need to try to get resolved in a way that still meets our budget goals. I wonder if I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything wrong. I don't, but there is a way we get information in closed session that does make me wonder a little whether I'm getting complete information. We don't have a council representative there watching. I think given recent actions, I do believe our staff was correct in telling us that they were being very, very difficult as far at the negotiating table, and were refusing to accept any reasonable offer that we had. We did have a much better way for them to get to this goal that would not have had as significant an impact on the paychecks. And these are the lowest paid people other than us on the staff, and you know, it is hard when you start hearing some of the stories about the reductions, but we know that they refuse to vote, or their leaders refuse to take the better way to them for a vote. And so we did what we had to do under current labor laws. Maybe that's what I would say, in a sense, is that the restriction, you feel very restricted by labor laws, and they have certainly used them. You almost feel afraid to open your mouth, considering that the PERB charges that have been thrown against some of my colleagues. I don't think any of us actually, but you know, it's hard to go through that. But we stood up to that, and we were only allowed to impose a 1 year, and
Right,
therefore
right.
we took the opportunity
So
to
bottom line
impose
is no
everything.
regrets.
No, we did what we had to do for the citizens of Hayward and for the future fiscal solvency of our city.
I'm waiting for this, okay.
Yeah, and thank you for giving me a second to do that. Francisco?
So the following day on Wednesday, I ran into one of the union leaders in our employees, and she said, Francisco, I'm bummed out about you. You could have won the mayorship last night with a yes, with a no vote. And I said, I'm not in this for personal glory, I'm in this for our city. I want to ensure that when you retire, you will receive the benefits that we have promised you, you and all the other employees. So she went, I guess you're right. So when I've had other discussions with other folks, because some of these employees have been my students and I know them elsewhere through other things, I said, it was a vote that I had to take for the future of Hayward. And they begin to understand that. I have no regrets. It was one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make. And there's a guy out there who was tweeting what was going on at the time, and then later on I read that watch Francisco, he's going to be an opportunist and vote no. That's, of course, I read that afterwards, but no, we're worried. I am worried about our city. I am worried that we need to ensure that we have all the funds necessary. And the process itself that lead to imposition is not as good as I think it should have been. I think we made some mistakes along the way. I like the idea, or I think I will propose the idea of having one of the city council people sit on negotiations once in a while. There are some things that I wanted to do, and then staff are saying, well, it's not necessary. You don't
Why
want
do you
to
want to have people, council people sit on negotiations?
Not necessarily as a negotiator. This is for my background as a negotiator and the president of the Union of Chabot College, where I actually was.
President of which union?
Chabot College Faculty Union. And I thought it was important for one leader to at least sit in once in a while. So when we started having difficult negotiations, the president of our union, Charles, would come in and sit down. Not necessarily as a active participant, but simply somebody to be there to get the story straight and to offer some.
You do realize what's running through my mind?
What?
You do realize what's running through my mind, right?
Let's
see. How well did that work out with the BART negotiations?
It took him a long time. Well, I just wanted to try something different. I did not like that we had to impose. I have no regrets about it, but it should not have happened. We spent a year. We wasted a year. We wanted to save some money by having a contract, but we ended up losing something like $800,000. What we could have said had we gone in and spoken a little bit more to the leadership.
Rakesh?
I am regret. I am disappointed the way they're talking everything. They are proud of their duty, what they did. I don't know really
They're
disrespect.
proud of what?
They say they are proud of their duty, what they did for the city of Hayward. Just think the loop. We get the money from the federal. A loop created 1,000 of problems. All the small business are suffering. People are like last week too.
Do
Also,
you realize why they imposed?
pardon?
Do you realize why they imposed?
Say it again.
Do you realize why they imposed the contract?
They're thinking different way. They're thinking whole different idea. Like I told you earlier, like a dysfunctional government, because they are so slow that they'll take the action right manner. They will think what they're putting on the table. Like when you ask me question for budget,
If you were in their shoes, what would you have done?
I will fight. I will talk everything. I will try my best to get negotiation. That's the way I am.
You don't think that they fought to?
I have no
get
clue.
negotiation?
It doesn't seems like.
It seems like from what?
For all the negative, all the deficit and all this thing, like loops is a problem, this infrastructure is problem. They can negotiate with the SEIU too also.
So you think you could have negotiated this out?
Yes, most definitely.
And you think you could have done it, gotten a deal that would have helped the city better?
Yes, and I think before I get the $10 million, I make sure that I got the good contractor so I can make city deficit positive.
Why do you think you could do it when they couldn't do it?
Because they don't speak out. There is something going on behind the scene.
What is that?
I don't know whether to put the blame those things, but it's going to be go investigated if I got lucky.
Okay. I guess I would, I want to understand, from our perspective, you guys did exactly the right thing. I'm sorry, Rakesh,
We
but
read your columns.
you're wrong, but that's okay.
No, I see
They,
the net.
they didn't have a choice in what they did. They did exactly the right thing, and it may look like it's easy to tell them they could have worked this out. They were in a very, very difficult position. They did what they had to do.
There is nothing is difficult.
Okay, well,
There is nothing is difficult because we are human. We try if we try our best like that, and the system is work out.
okay. So
Like
what-
the healthcare,
Okay.
President Obama sold it. You see,
Okay, so what I want to understand, especially from you three, I need to understand, we think that you guys did the right thing. I think you know that. I think we gave you support with it editorially.
Thank you.
And, well, I mean,
Although you didn't say anything today at Rotary, but that's okay.
Well, we actually didn't get to discussing the city finances in more general, about pensions, but had we had time, we got into details of how it affects Hayward. It's very clear how it affects Hayward, and it's the driving factor behind, your budget problem. As I read your budget, you go broke in 4 years. Agreed?
Possibly,
Possibly,
unless
18, 19.
we have a
20, I think.
Based on your
resurgence in
based on your
the
10-year
economy.
Based on your 10-year budget projections right now, you have 4 years and then your reserve runs out, correct? Your balance runs out.
Well, if you accept our 2% annual, revenue increase, we have actually done better. I mean, we want our finance director to estimate revenues conservatively. You would much rather be surprised pleasantly than.
No. And I totally get all the moving parts that, every assumption has an effect up or down, and this is a best case and estimate, this is a honest best attempt to project, I think. I mean, I haven't gotten any sense that your staff is cooking the books or trying to, they're trying to, you guys deserve credit for trying to do a 10-year projection. Okay. I guess what I'm trying to understand is, what's the next step? Because you guys have to you run out of money in 4 years, even with this imposition. And frankly, having the three of you together, who all made the same, very different than the last group where only one incumbent. The three of you who were in on this, and I'd really like to hear you sort of, and maybe one at a time, and then if you want to talk amongst yourselves with each other, react to each other, respectfully. I really want to understand. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the future solvency of the city, and I'm curious. Thoughts on your way out on how you avoid that? You want to start, Barbara? I'm just.
Sure.
I'm this is easy to sort of do pinpointed questions to try and bring out differences. But frankly, with the three of you, you all made the right vote.
And it still may not be enough.
And it still
Yeah.
may not
Probably
be
won't
enough.
be enough.
Exactly.
And
Thank
you know, I see that, and
Yeah.
I don't think that we're alone in that category. And there certainly are other cities that are wealthier that have a better tax base. The economy is doing better. You know, you hope that it's, you know, maybe we'll do a lot better, but it might not. It might actually have a hard time again. It might go into another, hopefully not major recession, but you know, we don't know. You do somewhat have to go year by year, and I think Mark used the word balance, and that has been what we're trying to do. I mean, the main thing is we want to make sure that we can continue to provide the major services that our constituents need. But as we go on, and those predictions that our city manager has definitely laid out for us over the next 10 years, we start to see that actually happening. Our revenues haven't picked up as much as we would like. I think we will, even our finance director and our city manager think we'll do better than the 2%, but how much better? And we need to do fairly significantly better. So we're gonna have to look at other ways, and there are some things, potential things out there that we can't even actually talk about at the moment, but you know, there are other things. We are really trying to beef up our our economy, our tax economy, promote businesses that will bring us better tax receipts. I think that one of the things I really want to stress, and you might scoff at this a bit, but we've already instituted it. We cannot provide all of these services, and we cannot do everything that our residents want with paid city staff alone. We have had to already ask our citizens to step up and start volunteering big time, and they have. And I want to continue that and promote that. If we want to be a good community, we all have to start taking more responsibility for it ourselves. And we've done that with the litter, you know, the litter and the graffiti, and keep Hayward clean and green. We've got people working in our libraries to help, and in the schools themselves to help, you know, kids do their homework and to tutor them. So we're really promoting volunteerism. And then the other thing I would say is that there needs to be some change at the state level about how cities are funded. And we need to get more of our property tax revenue. The state has consistently taken away over the last 20 years property tax revenue that by right should be coming to the local community to help provide those services. They said they were going to pay for the schools, and then slowly they've taken money back from us, from property taxes, to do their part of the schools. They took redevelopment away. We're over that.
I don't
But
think you know, I'll tell you, I just don't think the state has it because they got their own unfunded liability problems.
yes, they do. They
I
do.
mean,
They've turned their
that's-
picture around, though.
They
But
haven't turned their picture.
all right, but at a state level, we need to look at how the money is divided up, and the cities for quite a while now, and especially since we passed some measures like Prop 22, have been on the really short end of that. I mean, I almost think it was a revenge move to take redevelopment away because of the passage of Prop 22. We're hanging on to the rest of the revenues as hard as we can. You know, I, as an active participant in the League of California, as the vice chair currently of the Revenue and Taxation Policy Committee, I am committed to, you know, lobbying. I don't know that we'll get those results I want, but we are making efforts.
Okay, let's come back to
to-
this. Mark?
Yeah, you know, there are some things that we've been doing, and we've been working with interagency collaboration, right? Like, for example, we've been doing some crime and safety strategies, utilizing resources from Cal State, BART, and CHP, where they've helped us patrol in specific areas to when we see spikes in crime. So, you know, it's utilizing strategies like that. You know, at the conclusion of last session, the council passed the Economic Development Strategic Plan, and you know, it's got 3 goals: strengthen our brand of our city, strengthen our industrial sector, and to, you know, do what we can to revitalize our downtown. By the end of this year, if things go as planned, we're going to have fiber going out to the industrial sector of our city, and that will enable us to keep those existing industries that need high capacity internet, and it'll also enable us to go out and recruit large industries, new industries, to come in and make Hayward their home. You know, you know, one of the unique things about Measure C I think is we've built it so that it's insulated from the state, right? So all the money that's generated stays in the city of Hayward. So if in the event that we do go to the taxpayers for a revenue increase for services, we need to start thinking about preserving those revenues specifically for the city, and at least I think those are some of the short-term things that we can do. Long-term, it's I think one of the terms that is being thrown around City Hall now is what's this new normal that looks like? I mean, you kind of alluded to it earlier. This new normal of cost sharing for benefits. This new normal of contributing more to pensions. This new normal of interagency collaborations for so that if we have if the BART downtown area is dirty, well, BART needs to step up and clean it. Hayward, as Hayward sits in the middle of everybody everywhere, and our roads are used, our parks are used, our transportation is used, and I think we need to really not only hold ourselves accountable to crime and safety and cleanliness, but we also need to hold all these other agencies accountable.
So in 4 years, we will also have to go back to the voters and measure A. So that's $18 million that we may lose. So your prognostication certainly is right on. And one of the reasons that I voted for the imposition is, had we given in to SEIU and allowed them the 1% increase in salary on schedule, that means that we would have told the other unions, well, sorry, we just gave SEIU theirs because they're lowest paid. And then that means that the police and fire would remember that 4 years from now, and we certainly need them to help us pass Measure A again. So I wasn't ready to do that. So we needed to ensure that happening. We have Measure C at the moment, and that can be another $10 million. So that's saving for the future.
But correct me if I'm wrong, that's primarily for some very specific capital
yes,
projects,
of course.
right?
Yeah, but of course, the 263 miles of roads and streets that we have can come out of that Measure C as opposed to from the general fund. Then it frees up funds for something else. And we're applying $1 million extra to fund the OPB. So that's good. But that also takes money away from our general fund for other areas. That's why
Yeah, but it saves you in the long run.
of course.
Yeah.
So we need Measure A, we need Measure C tremendously. We need to ensure that we go out there and we attract small businesses, whether small, medium, or large, because again, the economy is going to be the one that really pulls us out of this. We need to ensure that we allow a restaurant to function without any tables. What's
Well,
that?
Let me ask you, the economy is really what pulls you out, you said, and I hear this a lot. Do you think the economy is gonna provide enough to pull you out of what you're facing right now?
It's a portion, it's a player, it's like a
Okay.
chess game, it's a player, it's not the solution, it's a combination of things.
I would
So we need
yeah.
to, but.
I would agree with that. You have to put a lot of things together to do this, and we've already been doing that. We have to be more efficient. I like to think that we have taken a lot of steps to make ourselves more efficient, to eliminate anything that doesn't, that we don't really need to be paying for. Government at all levels should be doing that. We need to be more seriously
And we need to ensure
responsive
that
and
that culture,
responsible.
that
Yeah.
culture in our planning division, in our city hall is modified so that when somebody comes in with a business plan, they're not told, your business is going to fail. That's ridiculous. They're not gonna be told, you're gonna create alcoholism and winos and crime with your, wine tasting. That culture needs to be changed, and we need to be more friendly.
One of the things we have in our
Let me come over to Rakesh for a second. So you've been hearing all this,
Yes.
and what's your thoughts?
My thoughts, I don't be brag about me. Like, I believe in America, okay? First I start my job, they hire me as a lab assistant, they make me in charge chemist. Salary was, they hired me $9. When the time minimum was $3.25. Boss make me $9 on that time. And after 1 week, he make me whole in charge plant chemist, me. And he make my raise $39.95. Because he see my perform my duty. Like earlier you asked the question for the budget. I don't know the budget, what is in the paper. Like all the stores I work also, those are the city store, owner want to shut down, corporate want to shut down, they send me there. And I make them $1 million store. And I never ask them to give me this money, this money, this money. Oh, I put the open salary, but they see my performance and I will perform my duty. And that's my word to you. I'm an outsider. Because once I see the numbers over there, numbers not going to lie. And where is spending going, what is going on, that's the one I'm running
But
for.
you haven't looked at the numbers.
Yeah, I don't know the number yet. That's the reason I cannot give you proper answer for the thing. But once I know the number, and I will try to bring more revenue, and that's my goal is. Like I will bring the corporate, certain corporate people. You need some relationship on that time. So certain corporate, I bring it over here. Certain kind of new business going to come over here. I then offer them tax break. I give them tax break. So more job going to be creation, and it's going to be developed economically. We're going to have a little bit strength. That my plan is that totally is different. I run the whole business. So I will go by the business way. Business succeed like we got the 10 million from the federal, and we still have a problem with the loop.
So as we look long term, yeah, go ahead, yeah,
You talked about 4 years, and that is kind of what we're looking at. We have a 10-year, but actually it starts to get a little better after that if you look at it. And one of the reasons I think is PEPRA, and there is a new normal, and it's coming, and it's not here yet. It didn't do a lot.
There's slow phase.
You see,
It is, but you can see the PERS. They are predicting that while the PERS rates will be going up, they will start coming down at some point again too. And
You missed my talk.
I did miss your. Oh yeah, I did. I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm not
Well,
remember.
there's-
Those two wouldn't be saying that.
There's something else also, they're saying that the next recession will actually be worse than the 2008 recession, and they're coming every 10 years.
Let me assure you, your pension rates aren't
Are
going
not
down
going to come down.
for a
Probably not
long time.
not medical either. The medical.
That just since you didn't have the benefit that your colleagues had.
So PEPRA is not actually going to do anything to help
That
get
was
better.
a tweak, it was not
It
reform.
was, yeah. Well, but we need
Yeah,
more.
but
We
hold on,
need
let
to
me-
build on that.
Let me give you.
Okay.
hold on a second here. Just so you know, because these guys heard the talk. Hayward's pension bills. This is the employer share, of which, not the employee share, but as you know, your police and fire pick up part of your employer share.
Which is
So-
rare.
Which is rare, that's right.
Mhm.
It's not totally rare, it's
Yeah.
more and more common, but, yeah. But the official employer share in the next 5 years for miscellaneous will go from 22 to 29%. What I didn't say, well, okay. Police will go from 40 to 50% of payroll.
Yeah.
Fire will go from 37 to 49% of payroll. And these numbers, and it's something I didn't have time to talk about, these numbers do not include the changes that were put into effect at CalPERS this year, which will push them up another few points. So basically, you're probably looking at anywhere from a 20 to 30% increase. in
So
pension
you
rates.
negotiate more, less expensive benefits at that point, or you tell, I mean, you have to, first of all, we have to get our employees into that mindset of total compensation, not what I'm taking home in salary or my paycheck.
Yeah.
And when you start to
And
get
in
their heads
fairness,
around
by the
that.
way, it's my understanding the 10-year projections build in with, they do not build in the 2014 numbers, but I understand they build in the projected rate increases through 2030.
They have, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's built into your numbers, but PERS is not gonna give you any relief. It's only making your situation harder.
Yeah.
Because they had to, because their
Unless-
accounting was dishonest.
Unless we get further changes, people are
The
living a lot
changes,
longer.
the changes.
When
yeah.
people, if you raise those retirement ages,
Yeah, and what does that do?
Well, I would
Well, you're
hope
not
that it
gonna
would
raise-
help
yeah,
bring
You're
them
not
down.
gonna-
I don't
you're
know
not
the
gonna
math.
raise- You're not gonna raise retirement ages on existing people, right?
Yeah. People in France.
You know, I realize
Unless
that.
you wanna take on a vested rights case.
I know. I understand the legal,
Right.
the
And-
legal.
And I don't think you're
obstacles to
gonna be able
doing
to go
that.
back to the table.
But
For Pepper too.
okay, we are right now in the, the baby boom, mass retirement. So we have we have generations, smaller generations coming on after us.
Presumably CalPERS has baked that into their numbers.
Well, none of us can actually predict the future, but I think that the main thing is you have to go. We have accomplished a lot by our own employees educating themselves, or us helping to educate them about these very things. And you've seen incredible concessions, or maybe not incredible, but very significant concessions.
You guys have your labor unions have made serious concessions, especially your police and fire.
And they're going to have to continue to do that.
And it's not easy to. I know. I'm sure this has been very, very difficult.
And those were based on trust and transparency, but that was lost with SEIU.
And you have to look at what the whole economy is doing too, because if the whole economy is doing a lot better, then we will have increased revenues. If it isn't, we're in trouble as a society, and you just will have to make the adjustments you have to make, just like we are now. I'm sure 10 years ago people would have been amazed at what we've been doing in the last couple of years. So
And that's
the
why
future,
the-
the future is going to
yeah.
come, and you have to deal with it. And
Francisco, let me come to that comment Francisco just made though. That trust was lost with SEIU. When you say that trust was lost, by whose trust was lost?
I believe theirs and ours. That's why a little while ago I said everything was working fine with the other units, and we came up with this one. And somehow along the line, had we done things correctly, we would have kept that trust and that.
How would you have done things correctly?
I'm not exactly sure what happened at that table. I'm not sure if it was if it were the folks from SEIU regional and state that caused this. I'm not sure if it were our employees who caused it. I'm not sure if.
Do you really think you guys could have had a better outcome and still held the line?
We could have done, we had a 5-year plan. That 5-year plan would not have hurt SEIU the way it did. And when we were talking about imposition, my personal preference was, I think most of us favored the 5-year plan because it would have meant $30 loss per month. But we had to impose that 1-year plan, which is $300 per month. And I think that would have really have made our employees better and actually have come up with that.
But was it your fault that didn't happen?
Well, we're not, see, I wasn't there, so I don't know if it was the fault of our employees or the fault of the regional SEIU.
You want to look at it? You want to look at another set of negotiations recently involving that same labor union?
Well, yeah, of course they are. So the general consensus was that it was that our employees could have possibly voted in favor of that 5-year plan,
And they didn't
because it was not offered to them for a vote.
because
The regional leaders. Yeah.
I think they're pretty notorious.
What? I guess what I'm saying in all of this is, that you weren't at the table necessarily. Doesn't to me suggest that you or your staff or your negotiators misstepped in any way. I don't see how you got to where you got to without this.
I think that we maybe think that if there weren't labor laws in place that restrict us from doing these things, if we could really have met with the employees themselves, just our staff, or maybe us with them too, and really had that frank conversation about what the reality of our budget is. We like to think that and could have the information about the 5-year plan, the 5-year phasing in of these concessions was out there on our website. Any employee who wanted to educate themselves about it could. I think there are employees who may be second guessing whether they've done the right thing at this point. But you do see from the BART, from what they're doing in San Francisco right now. It's astonishing.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, and I know this is the second time I brought it up, but the billboard with the lie really bothers me a lot. And it's made me realize that there probably wasn't going to be a different way, because I think that the mindset of the leadership of this union is not to look at the facts, but to make your own up.
I've run into several of our employees with whom I get along and says, are you upset at me because of this imposition? And quite a few told me, I have a job. I have less money, but I have a job. I have secure employment, and I have retirement benefits after I retire. And to them, that was very important.
Also,
I think this, to use this term, the new normal, right? Especially in this context, is that, and as you mentioned, I think all of our groups have invested a great deal of time and money in learning about pensions and learning about unfunded liabilities and so forth. And I think we need to continue to invest and time, and if money, we need to do that too, to make sure as an organization everybody is proficient and competent in this subject, in this topic. This isn't going anywhere. I mean, just as you just said so yourself, this issue is going to be with us both in the short term and in the long term. And if we cannot afford for people to not be competent in this issue, I'm out there talking to voters, and our community seems to be very, if not 100% competent and proficient, they at least have an idea of what the context is, and I think I think the community gets it. I think the community has voters have told me, hold the line. We respect what you're doing. And and of course they acknowledge that I'm the guy that got most at stake, if anything, because I'm leaving my seat. If I don't get reelected, I go home. And this decision, like I said, was made in that context. And if I didn't think it was the right decision, if I didn't think that it was going to benefit our city and our budget, both in the short term.
The flip side of it is, if one of these two gets elected, there'll be a vacancy on the council.
Right.
Sure.
And he can apply again. Yeah.
That would be wonderful if I can count on these three to appoint me.
I think that what he's saying about definitely the public. Well, we won't comment on it. You're not going to ask us about that, are you? We don't know what the outcomes here are going to be. But I think what he said about the public is absolutely true. Where I'm not even hearing about it at the door, and even
You're not hearing about it
about the labor dispute, about the
when you say
imposition.
at the door.
When we're out walking precincts,
Okay.
as all of us are right now. And when I do talk to people about it, I've had conversations with SEIU employees from other agencies who have expressed astonishment and sort of dismay at the fact that our SEIU employees weren't contributing anything to their medical benefits, where they are in another agency and they're SEIU employees, so the union isn't even consistent from one place to another. I think that standing up as we have and making it clear that we're not going to back down will have impacts, and it will help other agencies to do it too. But I think the flip side of what SEIU is doing right now is what our fire and police did. Their own evaluation of the situation. They listened to what we had to say. They looked at it themselves. They agreed that we were, that the facts were the facts, and for their own good, they better start working with us and doing something about it. And I think that eventually that is what will happen.
And just one other thing, just real quick. The other issue that I keep reflecting on is what happened to California State University lecturers and California Community College lecturers 25, 30 years ago, where lecturers today do not get health care. Lecturers today don't get a pension. Tenured faculty a generation ago, have done a great job at securing benefits and pensions for themselves, which is good. They deserve it. They put a long, great career of service. However, what the California community college system and what the CSU system has done, I teach at both systems, they rely on an army of adjunct faculty and lecturers to teach courses that, I mean, and we don't get health care and we don't get a pension. I mean, you know, I always joke with my students and say, I'm going to be teaching here until I, you know, fall flat dead right in front of you guys, because I have absolutely, you know, so, you know, I look at, in retrospect, I look at my decision today for the imposition. I absolutely would hate if we became a city where we would rely on part-time adjunct employees where they did not get a retirement and they did not get health care. And, you know, you know, and like community college faculty and university lecturers, you know, we have to teach at 3-4 different colleges just to string up, in 4 different cities, just to string up a full course load just to survive. And that's absolutely no way to raise a family. That's absolutely no way to live a life. And so I certainly would not want a day where we had firefighters that worked in 3 different fire departments, or we had police officers that worked in 3 different simultaneously, you know, or maintenance workers that, you know, had to work 4 different cities, 3 different cities to piece together, you know, a full-time hours of service. And that's what, you know, and mind you, faculty, as you well know, you know, we're talking about people who have invested thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in their graduate degrees to teach in you know, at the university, right? And we've left those faculty behind.
Let me ask you something. Let's start with Rakesh. One of the things that we've talked a lot about the pension part of it. We haven't talked about the retiree health part of it. Significance of funding the retiree health plan?
I'm always concerned for senior citizen first. That's why I decided to run for governor, because at this moment they cut the health care for the dental for the poor people and some senior citizen also. That's a very sad part. So I'm very concerned. So that's the problem. Where are you going to cut the royalty? Where are you going to get the funding? How are you going to make physical stability for the city? That's the part you need. Like you heard, even professor doesn't have no benefit. When we can build up the 4,000-mile road in Afghanistan, 4,000 school in Afghanistan, and we cannot afford our teacher. You know, and that the one make me sad. That the one let me decide to run, because I experienced everything, life experience, you know. Like I told you, America is the greatest country for me. God bless me. In India too also. That's second democracy over there also. Even though my last name is Christian, I got elected too also. I got everything over there. And when America can give it to me, all the legal rights, when I don't ask the raise, they give me raise. You know, when I don't ask the promotion, they promote me twice. So something is missing over there. You have to evaluate the performance. Also, how is your team working also?
Francisco, what about the OPEB?
Health retirement benefits upon retirement, or?
Yeah, about your funding of your OPEB system.
Okay. Well, we need to make sure, that's one of the reasons we imposed this particular instance, and that's the reason we asked 17% from everybody yet, because we need to provide the health benefits now while they're actively working, and of course, once they retire, we also should be providing, especially if that's what we promised them. If in the future we decide to not provide them, that's something, but that'll be a very difficult decision. If in the future we decide to decrease or to increase the visits to the doctor, as we have at Chabot College, for example, we now have increased every time I go to the doctor at Kaiser, I have to pay, whereas in the past I did not. So that's one way to save on these funds. But we have a huge amount, as from this report, huge amount of liability for the future, and we have to make some inroads into providing enough funds into it. Not all of the funds, because then we'd go broke as a city if we say we need to fund all of it, then that would not be a wise use of money. So we just need to ensure that we provide. And at the moment, we're gonna do it, $1.8 million, whereas in the past it was only 800,000. So it's important.
Healthcare is a huge issue, and the good news is that medical science is able to do more and more for people, and they're living longer. The bad news is that medical science is able to do more and more for people, and it's costing more, and they're living longer. And I think this is a societal issue. I worked for almost 30 years for a private company, a mutual insurance company, so it wasn't exactly a for-profit, but and this is a company owned by doctors. A number of years before I retired, they took the retiree health care away from us. We don't have it in a doctor-owned company. Actually, the fact that the city had medical benefits allowed me to retire from that job earlier than I would have otherwise and do the city job full-time. So for me, that was a good thing that I had current health care coverage with the city. Future, it would be nice to have a system where you could get it and probably continue to pay a certain amount. I think what we're moving to is a stipend.
I guess where my question really is.
Do we need it?
No. My question really is much more about, you guys are sitting there with an unfunded liability of.
Well, you know what I was thinking.
$68.5 million.
Let me see if that matches. It sounds about right, but, here we are.
68.4 maybe. Depends on which
Quite
figure
high.
you look at.
Unfunded liability.
60, about $69 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is how important is it to address this issue?
Well, it is important, but I think people really need to, as a whole, start remembering that healthcare does cost money, and somebody has to pay for it. And I think I'd like to see what we're moving toward is a fixed benefit, perhaps some help. And if you don't retire until you're 65 or 66, or they may raise the Medicare age,
No, but look at it. Right now you're doing PAYGO.
We're doing what?
PAYGO.
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, can you keep doing that? Should you keep doing that?
I think maybe not. I mean, I think it needs to be funded as you go along if you want that benefit. And maybe we move to a more cafeteria system of benefits where, people can
What are you
choose
gonna do
what
about
they
getting
want.
rid of that unfunded liability?
Well, you can't take it away, so you have to fund it. You can't take it away, retroactively, but you can change how you do that in the future. I also, I think we need to look at what businesses are doing as a model. I mean, it's good to be able to provide these benefits, but I think the fact that we have a lot of, not just public, but private institutions too, have been providing full healthcare coverage or work for such a long time that people seem to forget that healthcare costs money. And they looked at it as, a given.
So what I was thinking was, maybe what we can explore is, figure out a way, or maybe this is another discussion we have with our labor groups, is that when our folks retire, that we'll fund healthcare up until where Social Security or when Medi-Cal kicks in. And then when Medi-Cal kicks in, then we stop funding medical. That's when, Medi-Cal and Medicare, I'm sorry. Medicare. When Medicare kicks in, then we begin to.
I forget the terms of your retiree health plan, but isn't that already in there?
Yeah.
It only goes to Medicare age, right?
I think you actually do get
You get a supplement.
supplement to buy a supplement.
But you don't get.
You don't get a plan.
You don't get a full. The amount that you get drops off dramatically once you're
Yes.
Medicare eligible. Right?
Yes.
Right.
But the amount you have,
I guess my question, and maybe I wasn't clear with my question, is you guys have been going on. You two just heard my pension talk. It's the same principle with retiree health care. You're basically promised a benefit and then you're not setting aside money for it. And so you're making future generations pay for past
We're making them pay now.
I was in the
I mean,
insurance business. You
yeah.
can fund it. You can fund it. It just has to be included. You just have to have a package and say, what do you want? Do you want, if you want a lower salary now while we put this money aside for you to have a retiree health benefit and for you to have a pension? I don't think the term hybrid pension is a bad term. I
I'm
have
not
one
tracking.
myself.
I'm not tracking. Here's maybe I'm not making my question clear. Do you? We're pretty concerned that you're not funding your OPEB plan.
We do have a plan to start funding it this year. Well, all right, at least to put the annual required contribution in.
Right.
That we plan to start next year. We plan to do half of it this year.
And here's my question.
And how do we fund it out in the
My
future?
understanding is you're moving toward, correct me if I'm wrong, full funding of your art. Is that right?
Yes,
How critical?
2015.
Full funding of your art by 2015.
It's slow, but again.
How sacrosanct is that to you?
How sacrosanct is it?
Yeah.
Well, we are about to start our budget deliberations for 2015, so I'm committed to it.
How committed are each of you
One
to
of-
fully funding your arc?
I'm pretty committed.
One of
very
the,
committed. I mean,
How fun-
yes, and one of the things that we started doing, 800,000 was committed to it last year. Now we increased it to $1.8 million. So, and that's what's in the plan for the
And
following year.
is that the
But-
full arc? I'm trying to remember.
4 million is the full 4.1.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when do you get to 4 million?
Fiscal year 2015, which starts July 1st of
Okay.
this year.
Okay,
So,
so
commitments there.
our real concern is failure to fund that is very costly in the long run.
Yeah.
And moreover, it's an intergenerational transfer
Well, the
of
plan that,
liability. You
okay.
follow what I'm saying? Intergenerational transfer.
Yes, so the 4 million, it will help when we start doing the arc.
Absolutely.
And we built up a sum that isn't going to be taken care of by that. At least it won't be made worse, though.
Right.
Then you start, one of the ideas is, we do get sort of one-time revenues from time to time. We need to start looking at those as not part of our general fund that helps, but that we start using those one-time, non-recurring extra revenue sources we might get to fund these things that
So
we
the-
have.
And that's
How
where, and that's
how
where,
committed are you-
we did have a spike in one-time revenue this past year, and that's what we're using to apply to our art payment.
How committed are you to fully funding your arc?
I'm 100% behind it, and sale of some property can be used for that particular,
Yes, you could.
So
Well, what
that's a
confuses
one-time-
confuses me about Councilmember Zermeno is he actually spoke against that $1.8 million to give to our art payment because he wanted to give it to SEIU 1021. He wanted to resolve our labor issue first before we pay down our ARC. And then the question I had for our finance director was, how would that impact younger workers? And she said, well, it just delays the application.
But we keep telling our employees that we have no money. We have no money, we have no money, we have no money. And all of a sudden, here we are expanding it by $1 million. And my thought at that time is, if we're telling our employees that we have no money, then we have to explain to our employees what's important. And when it was presented, it was not presented to us in that fashion. And there were employees out in the chambers. That could have been explained to the whole body. It's a $1 million, not because it's something that can be given to our employees, but it's something to protect the future employees. It was not explained. That was the reason.
But my understanding is you did want to give that money at the time.
It was the same thing as giving either $2,000 or $5.4 million for the name change of BART. Again, staff was coming in with extra money that we have, and telling employees, you are not a priority because we'd rather spend money on name change for a BART station. And to me, that's not the correct message to our employees if we want to build trust and transparency.
I'm not sure I'm tracking the parallel here. It seems to me that if you're committed to the art, then it's baked into your budget, and that then that is not money available
Yeah, and I think you have to make employees understand that the reason you can't have a 3 or 4% raise this year is that we have this unfunded liability that is for your benefit, and therefore maybe we can give you 1% this year, and then we will take 1% of your salary and put it toward that.
And
My
the challenge is this, is that we have like fire, and we have management, we have groups that haven't had a raise in many years, and that's going to be a very tough decision to have. You know,
So where do you come down on that?
yeah. Well, it's am I committed to the fully funding the ARC? Absolutely, and I think that's something that we need to start talking about now, immediately, and you know, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough conversation that we have, and
Who's committed to fully funding the ARC?
I am committed to
I-
fully funding the ARC.
But you need to make sure that our employees are aware what's happening, why we're doing it, because if we just do it piecemeal like that, without explaining, then that's a problem. That then they say, wait a minute, you have no money, why all of a sudden you're expanding this into this art? Well, because we need to ensure that we have money for you. That's not being explained, and since it's not being explained, there's no trust. They don't trust us, and to me, that's a problem.
And you do have to balance what other needs are, but you know, the one-time revenues are, but I also think the negotiation at the table with, okay, these are the costs of what you have negotiated as benefits, what we are going to have to pay out, and some of this is unfunded, and you have to give, you know, you have to come up with an offer to us to accept a compensation package that includes your contribution to funding these future benefits.
Rakesh, you wanted to say something, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Same thing. They don't know how to get the money to city. Like I told you, America is the greatest nation. When the America can, all the owner can afford to give me everything, so what? I'm going to be cut everything? No. I want to make sure benefits okay forever. That don't be promising. Because that then I have to decide that where I'm going to get the money, which business I will bring it here. Like Marvin facility empty here. You know, Marvin facility empty long time. Look at the Mission Boulevard. Everything empty. Look at over the business permit section over there. I learned from when I go interview in Pleasanton. You know, and I said they're doing wrong things everywhere.
I think they're doing the right thing.
No, it's not the right things. You cannot cut the benefits like that. You cannot. You have to fund the money. You have to think about where you're going to get the money first. And if you want to give the people raise 1%, 3%, whatever you want to give, you have to check on the performance. What is the performance result is over there?
We'll have to agree to disagree. Okay.
You know.
Folks, thank you very much. I have a request.